Hello, this video is for Chemistry 223, Lab 4, Ka of Acetic Acid and the pH of salt solutions. I just wanted to make sure that you guys know to do the pre-lab before beginning, because there's some calculations that you need to do. So in part 1, you'll calculate the volume of the stock solution that you'll need to make 0.100 molar and 0.0200 molar acetic acid solutions. And then in part 2, you'll just be making predictions on if you think these salt solutions are acidic, basic, or neutral. And then we'll be measuring the pH as well. And then it also says that you need to make up some data tables so that it'd be easier to record your data while you're doing lab. And then you'll also want to leave some space so that you can write down your observations. So now we should be able to begin. Before we begin, I'm not going to read this, but you should read the introduction before we begin. So for part 1, we're going to prepare the test standard solutions. You'll want to put on some safety goggles, and then so at the instructor bench is where all the materials are, and this lab has a lot. But for part 1, we'll just need to grab a 100 ml volumetric flask, which looks like this. And you'll want some deionized water. It says to put approximately 50 mils of distilled water into a 100 ml volumetric flask. We use deionized water. So what I do is I just open it up to pour. You'll want it about halfway full. So that's roughly halfway because the bottom is bigger than the top. Alright, and then it says to prepare the 0.10 molar acetic acid solution. So you'll use the calculations that you did in your pre-lab to determine how much of the stock solution to add. So the stock solution is 2.00 molar acetic acid. And we will want to put it into a secondary container so that we don't contaminate the stock solution. And we don't need much, but I don't want to tell you the volumes because you're supposed to calculate that yourself. But I'm going to just pour out a little. So this is the stock acetic acid. So I'll label it. Because it's a clear liquid, so it looks just like water, and we might mistake it for something else. Alright, so to prepare the 0.10 molar acetic acid, use a pipette pump to pipette the required volume of 2.0 molar acetic acid into your volumetric flask using a pipette and a pipette pump. So to do this, you just attach it, and then to use the pump, you roll pull it to draw up liquid. And then you put it into your volumetric flask. And then you can swirl it to mix it. And then you'll want to fill, you see the line right here? That's calibrated to be exactly 100 mils. Plus or minus 0.08 mils. So they're pretty exact. And you don't want to go above this, so it's better to be more cautious when you're filling it. So I'll just use the squeeze bottle. And then once you get to the stem part, you'll want to go really slow and make sure that you don't go over that line. Alright, so that's filled to line. One of these lids, and you invert it a couple times. Alright. Use the utility clamp to secure a pH sensor to a ring stand shown in figure 1. So, you should be following along, but this is figure 1. So, I have that ready off to the side. Let's see if you can see the clamp. Alright, so you'll want to grab a pH probe, which looks like this, and we're just going to attach it. And then it says to connect your probe to the LabQuest. So this is the LabQuest. You get it in the equipment room right behind the lab. They're on chargers. And then you'll want it to be on this main screen. And then once you attach the probe, or plug it in, it should recognize that this is a pH probe. So you attach it to the channel 1, and then it recognizes that it's a pH probe and tells you the pH. So, and that is pretty close. The solution that it sits in is supposed to be pH at 4, so hopefully we'll be doing pretty good. And then it says to go through all the steps in step 6 to calibrate the pH meter. You'll want to gently blot the end of the pH meter with a chem wipe to remove any storage buffer. So these are chem wipes. They're just tissues. So we'll take it out of its storage solution. This is just a screw top. You'll just blot it. And then use about 40 mils of distilled water in a 50 ml beaker to rinse the pH sensor. So you'll grab your 50 ml beaker and fill that with deionized water. So about that full. Rinse the pH sensor by submerging it into the water. Be careful not to hit it against the bottom of the beaker. So there's a little bulb at the end, and that's where it takes its reading, but this is glass, so you have to be careful not to break that. So you want to rinse it, and then blot it again. And then you'll want to grab your LabQuest. So you can see it there. And you just push on the pH where it's reading the pH. And then a thing will pop up and you hit calibrate. And then you'll want to hit calibrate now. And we'll start with pH 4. And then we'll hit known value 4. And then keep. And then for the second point, we're going to do the pH 10. So you'll want to blot it, rinse it with deionized water, and gently blot it again. And then we'll put it in the pH 10 standard solution. And you swirl it. And so we'll type in 10 and wait for the voltage to become stable. It looks stable, so we'll hit keep. All right, so now our pH probe is calibrated.